The name of my story today is No Longer Down at the River. Wow. Uncle Floyd and Barabbas and Gator had the best time ever last week. They went to New York City and they saw the Yankees play Toronto. It was the first time Barabbas and Gator ever went to the Big Apple. That's the nickname for New York City. First time in the Big Apple. And besides the ball game, they got to see the Statue of Liberty, and they got to see the Empire State Building, and they got to see the huge Cathedral of St. John the Divine. It was so much fun. But there were some scary times, too. The subways were really busy, and it was hard for Gator, being so low to the ground, to be safe with all the people crowding onto the subway cars. And there is that nasty gap between the platform and the train. Most people just step over it. But for Gator, it was a bit tricky. So every time when they got to the subway, Barabbas would be sure to say, "Watch the gap," and he would watch out for Gator. The first time Gator got on the subway, he got his tail caught in the gap. And when he turned to look down into that dangerous, dark, scary place, it terrified him. And so in great fear, every time he had to get on the subway car, a great fear would just rise up in his chest, and he'd have to cross that gap. Sometimes when things scare Gator, he'll try to cover up his fear with anger. And he'll bare his teeth. Do you know what that means? Show your teeth. Not with your lips closed, your lips are open. And it looks scary to people. And he does that so nobody will know how he's really afraid. This happened one time at the subway when there was a whole herd of giraffes waiting to get on the same subway train. And they were so tall and so unobservant, and Gator was already so nervous about that gap, and they were really crowding him, and one of the giraffes got out to get closer to getting on the train and accidentally bumped into Gator, and Gator did something he should not have done. He bit the giraffe's leg. He bit it hard enough. It wasn't so deep, but it was hard enough that it drew blood. And the Gator went, "Ah!" And everyone turned and looked, and they looked at Gator, and they looked at the giraffe's leg, and they looked at the blood. Oh! We all gasped. And in that moment, Gator looked to Uncle Floyd, and Gator remembered how wonderful Uncle Floyd has been to him, and how Barabbas and Uncle Floyd took him in, and he's not down at the river anymore. And Gator remembered he said he would never, ever, ever bite a giraffe leg, that he would live a better life. And now Gator just almost wanted to slide down into that gap, because that scary, dangerous place would feel better than where he is now, with all the giraffe herd just staring at him. And then, with great love and strength, Uncle Floyd reached down and picked up Gator and lifted him across the gap. Uncle Floyd talked to the head of the giraffe herd, and he discovered that actually the bite on the giraffe's leg wasn't quite so bad as it first appeared, and Uncle Floyd had a Band-Aid with him, so he put the Band-Aid on the giraffe's leg, just like that. Thank you, Uncle Floyd. And he told Gator he had to apologize, so Gator did apologize. "I'm sorry, I bit your leg. I will never, ever, ever bite a giraffe leg again for the rest of my life," said Gator. "I promise." And it turned out that the giraffe herd was going to the Yankees game too. And so they sat together. And it turns out that this giraffe knows Mr. Walter Mwakasunga, Elizabeth's father, because Elizabeth's father has done a lot of service projects in Tanzania, and he's kind of famous. And the Yankees won the ball game. How good of Uncle Floyd to rescue Gator from the gap. How good of Uncle Floyd to rescue Gator from down at the river. he used to live. How good of God to send Uncle Floyd into Gator's life. The end.